The Stoic philosopher Epictetus believed that what we often chase in life, like money and fame, isn't as important as the things that really make life worth living, which come from inside us. He thought that always trying to achieve things and get other people's approval stops us from reaching true happiness, which doesn't depend on what's happening around us or what others think. We're so scared of looking like failures that we're ready to hurt ourselves for others' approval. That's not a good way to live, because it makes us rely on things outside ourselves and risks our chance to be truly happy and free. Epictetus said we should be ready to give up these less important things. Even if society thinks we're losers for it, it's worth it to be happy and free. This message isn't about ignoring our needs or hurting ourselves, but about finding real happiness in a Stoic way. This talks about the ideas of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who teaches us to look at what really matters in life. He says that things like wealth and fame aren't as valuable as finding peace and focus within ourselves. The term loser doesn't have to be negative. According to the dictionary, a loser is someone who can't succeed or isn't skilled. But what counts as success or skill can vary from person to person. For some, running a small shop is a big win, while for others, success is about huge achievements like space travel. What we think of as success changes over time, influenced by society, culture, and religion. The idea of being a loser isn't fixed. It changes based on what others think. In our society, which values buying things and getting rich or famous, being a loser often means not having these things. Everyone has their own idea of a perfect life. For some, it's a high-paying job, a nice family, and a house with a white fence. For others, it's being popular on social media and having lots of friends. If you don't fit into these pictures, people might see you as a loser, someone who can't get what many people want, and therefore not successful. But remember, success and being skilled are personal and can look different for everyone. What matters is what you think, not just what others say. Being labeled a loser can hurt twice over. It's not just that others see you as a failure, but they might also mock you for it. But we should ask ourselves, are the things we're told to want really worth wanting? Is it really so terrible to be laughed at for not having them? Epictetus challenges us to think about this. We chase after money, fancy things, and social media popularity because we think they'll make us happy. We dream of being loved by everyone, relaxing on sunny beaches and getting lots of attention online. But Epictetus suggests that these things are overvalued and that true happiness doesn't come from them. Instead, it comes from within, from being at peace with ourselves, no matter what we have or what others think of us. So maybe being a loser in society's eyes isn't such a bad thing if it means being true to ourselves and finding real happiness. Imagine living a life full of luxury, fame, and social media popularity. It might feel amazing at first, but after some time the excitement fades and we return to our usual level of happiness, except now it costs us more to maintain this lifestyle. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warns us about putting too much value on these external things like wealth and fame. He thought they were fragile, enslaving, and most importantly, not within our control. When we chase after these things, we're chasing what can be lost very quickly. And going after them often means giving up a lot: time, effort, and sometimes our values. Epictetus gave the example of someone aiming to win at the Olympic Games. Even today, winning at the Olympics brings a lot of honor. But Epictetus wanted us to think about what we have to give up to achieve such a goal and whether it's truly worth it. He believed that true happiness and success come from within and are not dependent on external achievements or the approval of others. So he encouraged focusing on what we can control, our own actions and inner life, rather than external rewards that might not bring lasting satisfaction. I quote, "You must conform to rules, submit to a diet, refrain from dainties. Exercise your body, whether you choose it or not, at a stated hour in heat and cold. You must drink no cold water, nor sometimes even wine. In a word, you must give yourself up to your master, as to a physician. Then, in the combat, you may be thrown into a ditch, dislocate your arm, turn your ankle, swallow dust, be whipped, and after all, lose the victory. So, is this worth it? Is it wise to undergo such toil just for, as Marcus Aurelius put it, a clacking of tongues? Especially if we think public praise is fickle and can change into public shame in the blink of an eye? These things are not consistent, said Epictetus, and he emphasized that only things within our control are worth pursuing, which are inner qualities like contentment, joy, right action, tranquility, and the power of restraint. The rest is overrated and belongs on the back burner. Epictetus repeatedly distinguishes between what things are and the appearance we have of them in our minds. Epictetus says we often care about things because of how we see them in our minds, not for what they really are. Like how we think our family is the best, but really they're people just like everyone else. It's our feelings that make them special to us. This idea works for other things too. We chase after stuff because we think it's great, but is it really the thing itself that's great, or just how we see it? We tend to follow the crowd, wanting what others want and avoiding what they don't. But it's not always bad to want what others do, especially if it's good for our health or happiness. The key is to think for ourselves and decide what's truly important to us. Sometimes, what everyone else wants isn't what's best for us. The philosopher Epictetus believed that being happy and free is more important than anything else. He said we should be ready to give up things that stop us from being happy, even if that means others might think we're losers. But is being called a loser really that bad? Maybe it's only seen as bad because that's what society tells us. Imagine you have enough to live on, but you don't have a busy social life, a partner, lots of online followers, or a fancy job. People might say you're a loser because you don't have these things. But that doesn't mean you're less valuable than anyone else. What matters is if you're happy with your life, not what others think. Being true to yourself and what you want is what's really important. People often worry about being seen as less because it feels like a hit to their self-esteem. But just because someone doesn't have a lot of money or fame doesn't mean they're worth less than someone who does. Epictetus, a smart thinker, said that it doesn't make sense to think that way. Just because someone has more money, it doesn't make them a better person. It just means they have more stuff. And being good at speaking doesn't make you better either. It just means you're good with words. What you own or how you talk isn't who you are. So, being rich or famous doesn't make someone better than anyone else. What really matters is how we feel inside, not what's happening around us. But we often care too much about what others think, even if it means giving up our own happiness and freedom. Being called a loser isn't really bad, it's just a label. What's important is how we view ourselves. If we understand that people's opinions are always changing and can't be trusted, we won't worry about them so much. Then we'll see that being a loser doesn't stop us from being happy or free. In fact, worrying about not being a loser is what really gets in the way of our happiness. He said we should always remember that life is short and things like death are natural. By doing this, we won't worry too much about small stuff or want too much. He also said that in life we have to choose what's worth going after. We can either live like most people, chasing money and attention, which might make us lose our peace and freedom, or we can live like a philosopher, focusing on being happy and free inside, even if it means not having everything others think is important. The choice is ours, but we should think about what really makes us happy in the long run.